Okay, let's talk about Intel, the chip giant, the company that powered your first clunky PC, probably your second one too, and maybe even the server running this video right now. For decades, Intel was the name in computing, the king of silicon, the backbone of everything from laptops to data centers. But today, Intel's stumbling, and it's not just a trip, it's a full-on faceplant. The company's made some colossal mistakes, missteps so big, they're threatening to drag Intel from industry titan to tech footnote. So what went wrong? If you're as intrigued as we are, smash that like button and hit subscribe for more deep dives into tech's biggest stories. How did Intel go from untouchable to teetering? Let's break it down, mistake by mistake, and figure out why Intel's future is looking shakier than a bad Wi-Fi signal. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride through corporate fumbles, missed opportunities, and some straight-up baffling decisions. Let's rewind to the early 2000s. The world's getting smaller, phones are getting smarter, and Intel's sitting pretty as the king of desktop and laptop chips. But then, a little company called Apple starts making noise with this thing called the iPhone. Suddenly, everyone's carrying a computer in their pocket, and those computers need chips. Low-power, efficient chips that can sip battery life like a fine wine, not guzzle it like a gas station slushy. Enter ARM. Not the body part, but the chip architecture. ARM's designs were lean, mean, and perfect for mobile devices. They powered early smartphones, and companies like Qualcomm and Apple were all in, building chips that made your phone fast without needing a cooling fan. Intel, meanwhile, had its own mobile chip play, the Atom processor. Sounds cool, right? Except it wasn't. Atom was power-hungry, clunky, and about as appealing to phone makers as a flip phone in 2010. Intel tried to shove its x86 architecture, great for PCs, terrible for phones, into a market that wanted something else entirely. Why did Intel miss this? Arrogance, mostly. They thought mobile was a sideshow, that PCs would always be king. They didn't take ARM seriously, didn't invest heavily enough in mobile, and by the time they realized their mistake, the train had left the station. But here's the real kicker. Intel didn't just fail to make a good mobile chip. They had a chance to own the mobile market and fumbled it harder than a rookie quarterback. In 2005, Apple was looking for a chip partner for the iPhone. Guess who they talked to? Intel. And guess who said, nah, we're good? Intel's then CEO, Paul Otellini, reportedly passed on the deal, thinking the iPhone wouldn't be a big enough market to justify the investment. That's like passing on a chance to invest in Google, because search engines are a fad. By 2013, Intel was barely a blip in mobile, while ARM-based chips were in 95% of smartphones. Intel's still paying for that mistake, stuck playing catch-up in a world where mobile is king. This wasn't just a missed opportunity, it was a seismic shift. Mobile redefined computing, and Intel was stuck in the past, betting on desktops while the world moved to pockets. That's mistake number one, and it set the stage for everything else. Now, let's talk about Intel's obsession with making its own chips. For years, Intel was proud of its integrated model. They designed and manufactured their processors in-house. This was a flex back in the day, complete control over the process, from sketch to silicon. Their factories, or fabs, were the envy of the industry, churning out cutting-edge chips faster than you could say Moore's Law. But here's the thing. The world changed, and Intel didn't. In the 2010s, Intel started slipping on its manufacturing roadmap. Chip making is all about shrinking transistors. Smaller transistors mean faster, more efficient chips. The industry measures this in nanometers. The smaller the number, the better. Intel was supposed to hit 10 nanometer chips by 2016, then 7 nanometer by 2020, but they didn't. Delays piled up, and Intel's 10 nanometer process didn't fully launch until 2019, years behind schedule. Meanwhile, rivals like TSMC and Samsung were zooming ahead, hitting 7 nanometer and even 5 nanometer processes, while Intel was still struggling. What happened? Intel got complacent. They'd been the manufacturing leader for so long, they didn't see TSMC coming. TSMC, a Taiwanese company, doesn't design chips, it just builds them for others. Apple, NVIDIA, AMD, you name it. TSMC's focus and execution were relentless, and they outpaced Intel. Intel's delays meant their chips were less competitive, slower, less efficient, more expensive. Customers started looking elsewhere. This wasn't just a technical hiccup, it was a betrayal of Intel's core identity. They prided themselves on being the best at making chips, and they fumbled it. Now Intel's playing catch-up, outsourcing some of its own chips to TSMC. Ironic, right? That's mistake number 2, and it's a big one. Fast forward to today, and there's a new kid on the block. Artificial intelligence. AI is everywhere. Chatbots, self-driving cars, medical research, you name it. And AI needs chips, but not just any chips. AI thrives on GPUs, graphics processing units, chips that can handle massive parallel computations. Sound familiar? It should, because NVIDIA, not Intel, is eating this market alive. NVIDIA saw AI coming a mile away. They took their GPUs, originally built for gaming, and turned them into AI powerhouses with a platform called CUDA. CUDA made it easy for developers to use NVIDIA's chips for AI, and the rest is history. NVIDIA is now one of the most valuable companies in the world, and their chips are the backbone of the AI revolution. Intel? They were asleep at the wheel. They had GPUs, sure, but they never built a platform like CUDA. They didn't invest heavily in AI-specific chips until it was too late. They've got products now, like their Gaudi chips for AI, but they're way behind NVIDIA's juggernaut. Intel's still pushing general-purpose CPUs, while the world's screaming for specialized AI hardware. This mistake stings because Intel had the resources, the talent, the history to lead in AI, but they didn't prioritize it. They were too focused on their old playbook, CPUs for PCs and servers, while NVIDIA rewrote the rules. Now AI's driving the future, and Intel's scrambling to catch up. That's mistake number 3, and it's costing them dearly. Here's where it gets really painful. Intel used to be the poster child for innovation. Moore's Law, the idea that chip performance doubles every 2 years, that was practically Intel's mantra. They pushed the boundaries of what silicon could do, year after year. But somewhere along the way, Intel got comfortable. Too comfortable. While they were coasting on their PC and server dominance, the tech world was changing faster than a TikTok trend. Take chip design. Intel stuck with their x86 architecture for decades, tweaking it but never rethinking it. Meanwhile, ARM's architecture was taking over, not just in phones, but in laptops, servers, even supercomputers. Apple's M1 and M2 chips built on ARM embarrassed Intel's offerings in performance and efficiency. Intel's response? More x86 chips, with incremental improvements. It's like trying to upgrade a horse-drawn carriage while everyone else is building electric cars. And then there's the software side. NVIDIA didn't just win AI with hardware, they built CUDA, a platform that made it easy for developers to use their chips for AI and beyond. Intel's software efforts, like their One API, are playing catch-up, but they're nowhere near as sticky or widespread. Intel's been so focused on squeezing every last drop out of their existing tech that they forgot how to dream big. And in tech, if you're not innovating, you're dying. In 2018, CEO Brian Krzanich resigned under a cloud of controversy, leaving the company scrambling. His replacement, Bob Swan, was a finance guy, not a chip guy. Swan tried to steer Intel through choppy waters, but his tenure was marked by delays in chip production and a lack of clear vision. In 2021, Pat Gelsinger took over, a tech veteran with deep Intel roots. Gelsinger's been talking a big game, investing in new fabs, pushing AI, trying to turn Intel into a foundry for other companies' chips. Sounds great, but it's a massive pivot, and pivots are risky. Here's where it gets messy. Intel's fighting itself. In December of last year, Pat Gelsinger, the CEO who promised a comeback, was out, fired or forced to resign, depending on who you ask. Gelsinger was supposed to be Intel's savior, with plans to rebuild factories and chase AI. But his tenure saw more struggles. Stock down 40% in a year, 67% over 5 years, and market share slipping to AMD, NVIDIA, and Apple's in-house chips. Enter Lip-Bu Tan, the new CEO, who's swinging the axe. In August 2024, Intel cut 15,000 jobs. Now they're planning another 21,000 layoffs, 20% of their 108,900 workforce. That's 36,000 jobs gone in less than a year, all to slash costs by $10 billion by 2025. Tan's plan? Kill bureaucracy, flatten management, and refocus on engineering. He's also selling off pieces like a 51% stake in Intel's Altera division to focus on core products. But here's the problem. Layoffs this big don't just cut costs. They gut morale. scare talent away, and signal desperation. Intel's trying to rebuild an engineering-driven culture, but slashing thousands of engineers sends mixed messages. And the timing? Awful. With looming US tariffs on semiconductors, Intel's costs could spike, and competitors like TSMC, already ahead, aren't slowing down. Gelsinger's exit and Tan's brutal cuts show a company in crisis, lurching from one fix to another. That's mistake number 6, and it's a doozy. So, where does this leave Intel? In trouble, but not doomed, yet. These mistakes, missing mobile, botching manufacturing, ignoring AI, losing Apple, and cultural stagnation, have cost Intel its dominance. They're no longer the undisputed king of chips. NVIDIA's soaring, TSMC's leading, AMD's gaining, and Apple's doing its own thing. Intel's still a giant, with billions in revenue and a massive footprint, but giants can fall. The stakes are huge. Chips power everything: your phone, your car, your fridge, the cloud. If Intel can't turn things around, they risk becoming irrelevant, a cautionary tale of what happens when you rest on your laurels. But there's hope. Intel's new CEO, Pat Gelsinger, is making big moves, investing in new factories, chasing AI, and trying to rebuild that innovative culture. The question is it too late? This story's not over. Intel's got the talent, the history, and the resources to fight back. But they're up against fierce competition and their own legacy of mistakes. If they can't adapt, if they can't rediscover that spark, the company that once powered the digital age could fade into the background. And that's not just bad for Intel, it's bad for all of us who rely on a vibrant, competitive chip industry. That's the story of Intel's biggest mistakes. It's a reminder that no company, no matter how big, is immune to screwing up. What do you think? Can Intel pull off a comeback, or are they headed for the history books? Let me know your thoughts, and if there's another tech story you want me to dig into, drop it in the comments. I'm all about exploring these wild, world-changing ideas, so stick around for more. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you soon.